Greetings. I am doing a product review of Mama Bear Forms. And Mama Bear Forms has a really cool name. You have to admit. Mama Bear. Like how you came up with that. But Mama Bear Forms, for some reason, is the legal document generating platform business that Dave Ramsey recommends. And let's see what he says here. Nationally endorsed by the Dave Ramsey Show. Name guardians for your children. Appoint person to settle affairs. Identify who will receive your property. Appoint person to make health and financial decisions in an emergency. And I could why would Dave Ramsey pick this one? That's a good question. I think I know why, but proving it is a different matter. What I'm looking for is at the bottom for some of these companies, you will find their offer for what's known as affiliate commission. That is a way that people make money in the modern world, especially. Well, this is a little bit different. I mean, Dave Ramsey is a financial advisor, I think. He does not profess to be an attorney. Now, it is well established by law that selling legal documents is not legal advice. Therefore, you do not need to be a licensed attorney to sell documents. Now, this particular platform is a legal document generating application. And I can tell you that the computer program behind creating a drafting app is easy. I know that because I've done it. But here we are. So in this particular case, I will evaluate Mama Bear Legal Forms as compared to other LegalZoom, Rocket Lawyer, some other, whatever Susie Orman's using. And, compare and contrast. Like, is it something that, and by the way, just by way of disclaimer, I don't believe in most cases, especially when it's something like a last will and testament, hiring an attorney is necessary. I'm not at all. In fact, the contrary. This is not a competition between professional services attorneys who candidly charge too much and cheaper solutions. This is an attempt to understand whether it's worth it. Like, does this particular legal document drafting application justify the cost? And what is my opinion? What are the shortcomings? What are the advantages, disadvantages, what's good about it, what's not, what's the experience. Now, categories will be, number one, like, this is not that important, but how's the website? Is it easy to use? What's the experience? Like, everybody's got to have a good experience. And that does not have anything to do with the substantive legal quality of the documents. It's just how good is the website. Second is there misrepresentation? Not just by the actual platform, like Mama Bear Legal Forms are making representations about their product on their website, for sure. However, in this case, it's this gentleman. So Dave Ramsey is nationally he's endorsing this legal form platform for some reason. And so we'll take a look and see what he says. And is there anything about it that is just not quite spot on? If there is a problem, what's the problem and what do we think about it? But that'll be a category. It's like accuracy of representations is one category. Ease of the site. Then the big value proposition is, will it save you or make you more money than you paid for the documents? If it is $150 to draft a document using Mama Bear Legal Forms, then that's a great deal if you achieve your goals. If you end up spending more money than you would have by comparison to a different application, or even hiring an attorney, I guess, then for value, let's just call it value, bang to buck ratio, a separate score for that. Then I'm going to give it a separate score just for legal technical proficiency. Is it likely to meet requirements of the statute? Is it compliant with each individual jurisdiction? Of course, I can't test all 50 jurisdictions, but I'll be able to tell you how it ranked with my jurisdiction to give you an idea. And then I'm going to give it a separate category for asset protection. If it's estate transfer and asset protection is a theme of the podcast, hopefully you'll begin to understand the importance of asset protection. And it's my view that, one of the reasons why it's hard to be a proficient an attorney in asset protection law is because it's difficult. And the conversation is being hijacked in a way by folks who are not experts in asset protection and have an amplified voice because of their, they put on a good show. It's like entertainment. And if there's no asset protection characteristics, I think you should know it. So that's it. Those are the categories. Let's see how old Mama Bear form stacks up. I really like the interface. I mean, I'm going to give Mama Bear legal forms just in terms of how they have, the colors are nice and the design and the way it flows and the way the documents are saved is great. I'm going to give it a score of 10 out of 10. I mean, I just can't imagine it being, better than that. Now, the program for Legal Bear forms, apparently you have the ability to edit your forms for a certain time period. So let's just take a quick look at how the documents look when they're being stored. I have gone to my thing. So here we go. Relationship status. So this is the questionnaire. And it is in a simple interview style with encouragement. So if you look over here, it says, create your legal documents. Let's get started. You're doing great. Mama Bear plus Dave Ramsey. So they're really expressing continued support for Dave Ramsey and vice versa. I don't blame them. Save and continue. So it's asking me about my relationship. The next question is, do I have children? Yes, I've listed my children's names. This is, I'm going to say that my son Benjamin is a minor child, even though in reality he's not. But I can continue once I've entered that information. Very nice layout. I really like it. The next is, for the last will and testament, they're asking me about a guardian. So one of my children I said that one of my kids was a minor, and so who would act as the guardian? Now, just so you know, a guardian for a minor child is appointed by a court, and the last will and testament is not a 100% guarantee that the person that you list in your will be the guardian. It's more the court wants to hear from you, and barring a substantial reason not to place your children with a person that you appoint, the court will lean heavily towards appointing that guardian. However, remember the court has a duty to the child, and if both parents pass away and both parents appointed somebody who, for example, somebody who declined, that wasn't able to take on, how many people will appoint a guardian and not even let the person know that they've been appointed, thinking that it will never be an issue. Also, maybe the person's been disqualified. They've had a felony conviction or some other reason the court will not appoint. However, it's kind of, nice to let the court know, look, I want my brother Joe to be the proposed guardian. I mean, that's who I'm appointing. Now, so the next one is, who's the personal representative? I filled that out already. So I said, in this case, my spouse. Please be aware that I was testing the software a little bit. If we later, like if this application is really amazing, it will include a spousal protection trust because I'm married. Every couple needs a spousal protection trust, period. If the software is sophisticated, it will know that federal law prohibits the spouse from acting as the trustee, certainly, and the personal representative of her deceased husband's will for reasons that aren't necessary that you know right now. Just trust me, a spousal protection trust is necessary for a couple. If Mama Bear Forms is going to get a high score or any score in asset protection, it has to know that. It also needs to know that the spouse cannot be the personal representative if you later want to fund the most effective asset protection trust in American jurisprudence, which, of course, the answer is yes, we do, Daryl. Now, I know for a fact that they fail because Mama Bear Forms does not include a spousal protection trust, apparently doesn't know what that is, and certainly has no prohibition from the spouse serving as the personal representative, which in my mind, we're off to a bad start already. However, we can only... Now, the complete failure in asset protection aside, we are now on to specific gifts to individuals. I like the way it handled this. Like, here, do you want to give a specific gift? How much? Name the person, and so I did, and it worked just fine. It has a nice interface for gifts to charity. It had a great interface to determine the residuary. These are all basic draft creation elements. My drafting app does the same thing, as does LegalZoom. However, don't really, the point of this part of the review is how the interface works, how the design works, how the colors work, more so than the substantive legal. And it asks about, there's a pretty robust section on how you want to handle your charitable distributions. And then once it completes the questionnaire for will, goes right into healthcare powers of attorney, ask what state will you reside in, who's your primary agent, do you want an alternate, which is nice. We're going to call this person Bob, or Bob. Save and continue. Asks about being an organ donor. A financial power of attorney. They don't really give you much in terms of customization for healthcare, do they? Financial power. When effective, I'm going to say immediately. And that's it. You can see in just about 10 screens, they asked you the questions that they thought were appropriate to create a full set of legal documents. Well, I should say a full set: healthcare power of attorney, last will and testament, and financial. Take a look and see what they look like. Give you my assessment. Let's download these guys. Okay, it looks like it comes in one big PDF. This is the last will and durable powers of attorney of Daryl Tuttle. Signing instructions, okay. Finding a notary, public, working with notaries. Okay, so now we are on to the most important document. Last will and testament will actually be recorded in court. And typically we like to see it. The court has a certain way of looking at documents. There's no statutory requirement, but a lot of times we put a block in the footer for the will signer maker to initial. That way we know there hasn't been a page inserted that the will maker did not know about, just a way to decrease fraud. Last will and testament. Okay, so it's got my marital status correct. That's good. It's got my 2 children. I don't remember if it asked me. There must have been a spot I missed, but it's important that when identifying your family, you can identify family any way you want to, but it's important that you list the names of all of your children. If you wish to disinherit, you have to specifically opt. You have to say, I intend to omit my son, Ben Tuttle, in order for... the default rule is if you forget to mention your child and don't leave a gift, we just assume that the child was born after, or you forgot that it was a mistake. The presumption to leaving your estate to your children is that high. If you want to disinherit a child, you have to specifically list them in the family statement and then specifically say, I intend to omit, or other statutory language as required by your state. So be careful of that. Also, if your child is predeceased, highly recommend that you list them in the family statement, then point out that they have predeceased, then lay out what distribution you prefer. Now, payment of final debts and expenses. Article 2. Upon my death, I direct that my personal representative shall pay out of the residuary, blah, blah, blah. Now, one problem that we have already is I am not seeing any provision in here that waives bond. If that is the case, we have a big problem, and I'm extremely disappointed. Got okay. So this last will and testament, how do I, okay, so let's, legal technical proficiency, I'm giving it a 0, a grade of a complete failure. Here's why. It doesn't make reference to the Washington State's probate code or any probate code. I, Daryl Tuttle of Tacoma, Washington. Now, just because I live in Tacoma, Washington, does not necessarily mean that I intend for this to be a Washington will, and therefore the Washington probate code apply. I could live in Tacoma but be from Alabama, and so necessary for a will to state, look, this is, I want this probate code to apply. I want probate law for the state of Washington or whichever state you're choosing to apply. Secondly, I would assume in all jurisdictions, there might be reason not to. In fact, there is. However, 99% of people in America want probate to go as smoothly as possible with as little expense as possible. Therefore, courts, unless you opt otherwise, will often require the personal representative to post a bond. A bond is a insurance policy, essentially, to protect the estate against fraud. The court doesn't know who you are. The court wants to be cautious. Now, probate codes allow the will maker to waive that. You can say, look, this personal representative is my son. I trust my son. I'm not going to require him to post a bond. The court will respect that. You just saved a couple $100 in the premium for the life of the insurance policy, the bond, just because you didn't say it in your last will and testament. Another point is many states have a non-intervention simple probate procedure if the personal representative opts in. So you have to actually say, I want to avail myself of non-intervention. I want the court to stay out of it and the simplified probate rules to apply. Most jurisdictions do that, if not all of them, but you have to say it. So now, because of this will, it looks as if there's no ability to waive bonds, so you're into it for a couple $100 right out of the chute to get the insurance policy, plus a big fat hassle. And next, the court now will probably, in fact, will invoke, in my state, it would be court micromanagement in a sense. That's not quite the way to look at it, but there will be a lot more court procedures and expenses than simply waiving intervention could have been. It's crazy. There's that. And so, those two mistakes alone will cause the probate to be more expensive than the price the mama bear's trying to charge. So your net, it's to your disadvantage already. I don't know if I really want to go on. I'm so disappointed with the work product here. This is a dismal failure. I'm really disappointed. Really disappointed. Okay, and then what are they doing here? Oh, this is their idea of a personal property memorandum. Okay, well, this complies with state law, except they didn't list the state law that it complies with. It's not that hard. Healthcare power of attorney. Okay, the thing that we're looking for in a healthcare power of attorney is the statement that you want to remain at home if possible, and there's a Medicaid reason. A personal residence is an exempt safe harbor protected asset if, for Medicaid purposes, even if the owner is in a nursing home, intends to return home. We need that statement of intends to return home. The best place to put it is a healthcare power of attorney. So let's see if we have that. Registration of my agent, liability of agents, verification, medical records, healthcare. Oh my goodness, they included an advance directive inside of the healthcare power of attorney that does not comply with the statutory form. Wow. Okay, I see not one single statement about what the long-term care plan will be. I don't see the absolutely necessary form or a statement regarding returning to the home to keep the asset exempt. I'm seeing no guidance on really anything. They've combined the statutory, they have not included the statutory form or language and combined the advance directive with the healthcare power of attorney, which I've never seen before. And well, the good news is the authorization for release of protected health information is not that bad. I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give it a 9 at a scale of 1 to 10. Only because it didn't make it clear and provide the statutorily required addresses and phone numbers for the recipients. But that aside, and then durable power of attorney for finances. The absolutely critical piece that we need is a agreement to allow the we have to be able to weigh. You got to take the course, but I made a course on why it is so important to include one of the federally created asset protection trusts specifically listed in your power of attorney. This does not have it. It does not contemplate any kind of asset protection. It does not contemplate a transfer. It does not contemplate waiving the self-interest rules that are so important. It certainly does not understand, like insurance and who cares about that? It's about having a stroke and not being able to reposition assets for asset protection purposes because you did not include it or understand it in your power of attorney. Most powers of attorney will say something like, I will allow a transfer to a revocable trust. A revocable trust is the wrong trust. It blows up a spousal protection trust. It renders exempt assets non-exempt. The fact that you even list it here just goes to prove what you don't know. Horrible. I didn't mean to get this agitated. It's just that I could be that bad. Like, why would anybody pay? Okay, final score on asset protection, 0. On legal technical, 0. I'm getting a low score on a non-existent score. Doesn't make one reference to the statute, which is not that hard to do. In fact, it's easy to do, and it's required. And forgetting about, and then, okay, so 0. Value. It's not worth the price. Like, you're going to get these forms, and it's going to create all kinds of problems. First of all, just the fact that you're not including a spousal protection trust, okay, well, that's advanced stuff to Dave. But to not include a waiver of bond, seriously? That is going to be a greater cost and way more inconvenient than whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish or act as if you're trying to accomplish through your marketing. Just come on, just call it what it is. Design, I'm going to give it 10. Pretty colors. They spent some effort on that, so that's good. Legal and technical, 0. Asset protection, 0. Value, 0. I'm not going to be this hard, but these are like really flagrant failings. These are not minor, in my view. Now, misrepresentation. I'm just going to give it a 5 because I didn't see anything on Dave Ramsey's. I've never heard him claim that Mama Bear Forms was anything other than kind of low-level estate planning documents. He has not made representations that they protect assets. It's very common for non-attorneys who are selling legal documents or legal expertise to get it wrong, certainly, but to use words like protect yourself or protect your family, use a a living trust. Well, that's not accurate. To Dave's credit, he hasn't made any kind of misrepresentations about that. I would give him a higher score on representing it truthfully, or at least accurately. But, there's just so many shortcomings in the product that I just kind of question, I guess sincerity is not the right word, but I'm wondering why you think Mama Bear is so great when there's so many egregious shortcomings. I don't know, maybe one day there'll be an answer. That would be great. Dave, why do you prefer a legal document drafting system that does not include a waiver of bond provision, does not waive non-intervention, does not, why are you including the advance directive inside a power of attorney? Why aren't you referring to the code? Why aren't all these things? What is it about this form that you can justify endorsing? Candidly, I think it reflects poorly on you. It's just me. So that's it. That's the scores on my very first product review. And stay tuned, because I'm going to continue to review anything legal, but I've got Rocket Lawyer. So that's it. That's a wrap of the review, my first review. And I don't know what to say. I think you can't say anything nice. Don't say anything at all. It's too late for that, man. Oh, we're doomed. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Boom X Show Laws of Money podcast. And hang in there. It'll get better. Can't get worse. Could it? Could it get worse? My wife says it can't get worse.